welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. It's time for another post-match edition for St. Louis FC. Well, we've started the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and St. Louis FC started it off right with a victory by the final score of 2-0 over AFC Cleveland. St. Louis FC came out and dominated pretty much right from the get-go, which you would kind of expect playing a lower team. But then again, St. Louis FC hung in the game quite a while when they were playing a higher team in Kansas City last year. But overall, it was kind of the result that you would expect from this kind of matchup. AFC Cleveland had a couple players with a decent amount of speed. There was I never got a roster, so I'm not sure of Cleveland's names, but number 3, who was kind of playing kind of a wing spot, maybe a forward type role, the tip on the arrow, so to speak. But other than him, they really didn't have a whole lot. They had a lot of players that had a decent amount of skill, but St. Louis FC was really kind of knocking the ball around, just kind of toying with them. And that was really kind of my only knock on the game from a St. Louis FC standpoint, was they probably could have and should have scored more goals than the 2 that they got. But they almost used it as kind of a training exercise, and that was the only thing that I felt was a little bit lackluster in their play. Now, they should have had 3 goals in general, because they were awarded a penalty kick fairly early in the game, actually before they scored their first goal, and James Musa, his shot ended up being saved by the Cleveland goalkeeper. I think if he had it over again, he probably would have put a little bit more on the shot, but he tried to place it. Goalkeeper guessed right, made the save. So that could have been a goal. There were a few earlier in the game as well. One was a Takada header where he almost got a goal off of that. He had a fairly good game despite the fact of not getting on the score sheet in terms of scoring a goal. And overall, I thought everybody played a fairly good game. I was really impressed with number 91, Rudolph. He came in as a second-half substitute. Probably could have scored a couple goals himself as well. One shot was pretty much a nutmeg shot. Not sure if he planned that or not, but the defender opened his legs. He took the shot. It went right through him, and unfortunately for him, it sliced just wide the far side post. He had a couple chances before that as well, so I'm not sure if he's just kind of on the team for the Cup roster, or if we might see a little bit more of him in the future. But I liked the energy that you got out of him. Now, obviously, if he's trying to get himself a spot on the regular team, then you're going to see that kind of energy. But if that's what he could bring every single game, even from a bench standpoint, then it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe think about putting him on the team. But again, I'm not sure where he fits in that team dynamic, if this is just a cup move, or if he is having the potential to make this team for a solid period of time. Again, overall, I thought St. Louis FC played a very good game. I would have liked to have seen a bit more in the scoring category. As I mentioned, they seem to be kind of passing around a little too much, kind of dinking and dunking and doing a few silly things and kind of cheeky moves and what have you. And these are the kind of matches that you can get away with that, so I don't fault them for doing that. But you'd also like to, for a team that has trouble scoring, sometimes you might want to work on your finishing touch every now and then if you have a chance to do so. And they didn't have to do so, or they didn't do so here in this game. But they finished the chances that they were really kind of given. And overall, it was a very enjoyable game. One that St. Louis FC was fully expected to win, obviously, and did. But those are the kind of games that last year sometimes they didn't necessarily put forth their best effort. Now, obviously, I'm comparing league matches last year to the Cup match this year, because St. Louis FC did very well in the Cup last year until they lost to Kansas City. But it sets up a very interesting matchup. Again, St. Louis FC going to have to play Minnesota United FC, and that one is going to be taking place at the soccer park. I don't know that they have released the date on that yet. I'm sure a lot of you who are season ticket holders might know better than I, but I don't believe they have said when that game is going to be yet. But as far as I know, St. Louis FC is going to be hosting that, so it should be an excellent game again. Hopefully we don't have to go to penalty kicks this time. It would be nice to win in regulation, although that was a thrilling way to win that matchup. So we'll see how it shakes out this year with another chance to move on to the next round in the U.S. Open Cup. So, once again, St. Louis FC wins over AFC Cleveland 2-0, and they got some young players, a lot of good time. Takado was able to step on the pitch. They were able to get some rest for key guys. And I know James Musa got a little bit of a rest too, even though he played the full game, moving back into that kind of center half role instead of the defensive midfield role that he's been kind of slotted into. So it was a good game overall. You get some of the younger players experience. You give some of the other players a rest, whether they played or whether they sat the whole game on the bench. And it was a good experience overall, even from the fan standpoint. 2-0 victory, you can't necessarily scoff at that too much. Another game for St. Louis FC. The next home game is going to be next Wednesday, as well as that is the makeup game for the Vancouver 2 game. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys out there for that. But until the next time, this has been the post-match edition of View from the Midwest for St. Louis FC, and I'll see you next time.